Hey YouTube fans, we just shot a really great Facebook Live that we're posting here for you where we show our 3 top tips for working with design stamps.
And we show our favorite design stamps, including maybe a cactus.
Yes, we show our personal favorites, we show a product that's new that we're really excited about, and we bust out a torch. So you're gonna wanna watch this. Let's get into the video. It's really fun. I really missed you. You did a good job. Hey everybody, it's Beaducation Live, and I'm Lisa Niven Kelly, founder and CEO of Beaducation.
And I'm Mel McCabe, the product manager here at Beaducation.
What are we doing today?
What are we doing? We are going to show you guys 3 tips for stamping with design stamps.
And now we're going to show you our favorites. You want to go first?
Well, I also wanted to say you can't bail because every show we're deciding to give something away. When Lisa saw me giving more stuff away last week, she's like, why don't we give something away every single show?
Give the whole store away.
Yeah, so make sure you put in there if you can hear us and you can see us and you're excited about us doing a giveaway. We want to see some thumbs up and hearts.
Yeah, and as always, go ahead and share this with your community. I'm sure you have friends out there that want to perfect working with design stamps. So go ahead and hit that little share button, give us a thumbs up, and leave us a comment. Let us know where you are. That's our favorite part, right?
We do love that.
Yeah, we love it. We love it.
Okay, you tell them your favorites first.
Okay, here's my favorites. Laura's going to hold them up for you. We have, there we go. Look at that. All right, we've got the Deco fan. And that is really new, and we designed it for our book, so we're pretty stoked on that, and I love working with it. I made a bracelet just this morning, I'll show you in a little bit, where I used just the fan part, just the edge of it. It was great. Now the heart arrow, let me tell you quickly, the Deco fan is DS507. It feels like QVC today. I kind of like it. Okay, and then the heart arrow next to it, I love using either side of that one as well. Sometimes I use just the heart, sometimes I use just the fletching because it's so pretty.
Looks kind of like leaves even.
Yeah, and we have that dude in 2 sizes. That one there though is DS468. I'm just telling you guys this so you can jot it down. Again, they're all on sale. And then the fat lined heart, that's my very, very favorite. That's kind of my go-to. Like I use it in everything. And that dude is DS421, and we have it in a smaller size as well, which is 426. And last but not least, the curved bracket. So Taryn will help me out on that one. She loves that one. She uses it all the time. And that guy is DS432. And I like using just one side, just the top, or the whole thing. They're my faves. My faves.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Yeah, I love them.
I could not pick just 3. You said 3 or 4.
I know, I said 3 and I picked 4. How many did you pick?
Well, maybe like 8. But what I did is I've either some that I like, which Laura will show you here, that I like for, they're just so cute and so powerful and fantastic. And then there were others like your fat lined heart that or my go-to where it's like, oh, it needs a little spice here. I need to put something on the edges of your word, or even if I nick a piece of metal, I'm like, throw a heart on there, throw a star on there. So Laura's gonna show you first my favorite ones, just that I like them as they are for what they are. One is DS582, the coffee cup. Okay, you gotta put it down for 1 second because I gotta tell you guys a story about the coffee cup. When I've been in the warehouse pulling, I'm looking at this coffee cup, which is new. These are all new, the ones that I love, because then I'll probably love the next 10 that are coming out in the next couple months.
Oh, I know that those ones we just drew up, I mean, I'm a new favorite.
Yeah, well, the ones that are coming in 3 weeks are my absolute favorite. But the coffee cup, the reason I loved it is when I'm pulling orders and I see this theme, like, oh, this woman's picking all moons, moon blanks and moon solderables and a moon design stamp and the coffee cup. And this person's picking all, they must have something for a school for boys. It's the airplane and the train, and they're doing all nickel silver and the coffee cup. And I thought, I love the coffee cup because everybody loves coffee. It's like, regardless of religion, of gender, of race, of whatever your politics are, you gotta have that cup of coffee. I mean, people like tea too, but I gotta tell you, I feel a bond with coffee drinkers. And every time I was picking this coffee cup, which was the most popular one, kept thinking, I like this person. I could have a cup of coffee with, and then I'd read the name, like Christy Brinkley from the Hamptons, which it wasn't Christy Brinkley.
Okay, wait, I have an idea. Before we go over the rest of yours, let's show our first tip.
Okay,
so
let's do it. Let's do it. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to come around and move the camera down, and we're going to do a quick stamping. Well, let's tell them the first tip. First tip is the tilt and tap method. And if you go to our site under Learn, under Helpful Charts, there's a PDF you can download there. But basically what happens is when you have a stamp that has a lot of detail on it, and I'm going to pick one right now and show you. Look, Mandy says, now I want coffee.
Yes, me too.
Coffee. I wish that worked.
Yes, I do too.
So when you have a stamp with a lot of detail, sometimes just hitting it a couple times is not going to get it because there's a lot going on. And remember, every time you stamp, you are not removing the metal, you're moving it. So everything has to disperse evenly. So with the tilt and tap method, what you do is I hit it like 4 or 5 times and I actually tilt the stamp like north, south, east, west, or whatever, as I'm hitting it. I mean, this is way over exaggerated. I would never do it that much, but let me come around now and show you what I'm talking about. All right. So I hope you guys can see that there, and it's gonna get a little loud, but that's okay. I'm gonna use a 1-pound hammer. We have, can you show me that other one there, Claudie? We have a couple 1-pound hammers that we sell, and these are the ones that I use the most. This one's fairly new from Impress Art. I'm really kind of digging it. It's short, it's got a brass head, which if you thrash it too much, you can unscrew it and put a new one on. Kind of sweet, huh? All right, so check out this stamp here. So this is the family tree, is that what we call it?
Tree of Life? Family
Tree of Life.
Tree of Life, I think.
It's a tree. It's pretty
There's
big.
2 sizes on the Tree of Life.
It's pretty big. So this guy's got a lot of stuff going on. And I've just got some scrap pieces here. What I'm going to do is tilt it towards me, tap, away, tap, side, side. But again, that's totally over exaggerated. It's going to be actually super slight because you don't want to completely move the stamp. So let's see if I can do this from this odd camera angle. So I usually hit it once in the middle and then tilt. And that was pretty good.
That looks great.
I mean, sometimes honestly aluminum is so soft you can get it with one whack, but let me do it again for you guys. So when you do this, you have to make sure that you're really pressing the stamp into the metal. Otherwise it can shift, and if it shifts when you do this, it's bad news. So here we go. Looks pretty good. So that is our first tip, the tilt and tap. Now you're especially, like I said, going to need it when you're working on a stamp with a lot going on or on a metal that's really hard, like brass. And we have a tip for how to stamp on that. That's number 3. So you got to wait for it. We're going to get to that. All right, Mel, let's go back to talking about your favorite stamps.
My second favorite, which comes in 2 sizes, is the Sacred Heart. And I just felt this one was a long time in coming. We've wanted it forever. DS 560 and 559. And it's just, the little one is so perfect in between initials or in between names, or it's just so pretty with just one name and then the Sacred Heart on the bottom. And it's stamped so beautifully with so much detail. I felt we were able to get a lot of detail with that one. And the fox, we have so many cute animals, but that one by far and away is my favorite animal. It's just super cute. The cactus, I gotta tell you guys, there's a story behind that. Not only are cactuses popular, but well before cactuses were popular, they were popular at Beaducation.
Cactuses just came flying.
Yeah, these are cloth cactuses, which my sister made. And we have them all over the office because she needed to make them for displays. And I said, I love these. When the displays were done for the store she was working for, I said, we need these cactuses. We even have some that are 7 feet tall. I have one in my house that's well over, maybe 10 feet tall.
There's a big one right
Huge.
over here. They're everywhere. There's one over there.
I feel like they've kind of become
two in the
our
restaurant.
totem plant. And everyone seems to love cactuses right now. And I've been seeing some of the cutest sayings, like kind of prickly or, you know, don't touch this. And so I was so excited when I've seen it. It's cute, but I've seen it. I was excited when they became as popular as they did because we have 2 sizes of that cactus.
We do, and they're brand new, and they've been very popular. Let's see them again, Laura. Bust them on up there. Ready?
I'm also going to hand Laura the really cute samples of the cactus, which I just love so much.
They're super cute. Here you go. I'm a sucker for you.
I love that. So cute.
Somebody spelled Kelly wrong.
No, that's. Oh, you mean your last name, Kelly? Yeah, that makes sense. And then, not to drag on, but I just had to tell you guys, similar to Lisa's lined heart, I just love the little lined star that we have too. This comes in 2 sizes as well. And yes, and then I'm sorry, we have the baby swallows, which these, if you're stamping a name and you have those on either side or on either side of a saying, completely makes the saying or the word look so polished, just to have the little birds almost look like they're holding the saying.
Really
so
sweet.
And those are very detailed and make great impressions.
And the thing about the detail and the great impressions is our stamps, they're made in the United States, they're super high quality, and they're actually engraved instead of like made from a mold. They're very sharp, so they impress very well. And our supplier is so awesome, they can get a lot of detail. And it's just great stamps. I mean, I'm not just saying that because, I own the joint. They really are. We get awesome feedback. So leave us a comment if you agree. Tell us what you think about our Beaducation original stamps, and maybe tell us your favorite one. We'd love to hear that.
I would love to know that. Or anything you wish you could see.
Oh,
for the future.
Always tell us like a design stamp you're looking for, or email it to us and we'll put it on the list.
Are you going to give them tip number 2?
Number 2, I want like a big graphic that comes in. Tip maybe like spinning, All right, tip number 2. The first one was the tilt and tap. Tip number 2 is to use a heavier hammer. So these are all tips if you're struggling with design stamps, right? So sometimes you just need a little more oomph behind the stamp. And we sell a 2-pound brass head mallet, and that will really, really help. I'll show you in a second, but just sort of like letting the hammer just drop on top of it. The weight and the gravity as it comes down is going to distribute and disperse the stamp into the metal really well. So let me come around and I'll show you that now.
This is something that when I first started working here, I love that when customer service is on the phone and people are like, what do I absolutely like bare minimum need? And we always tell them, if you're going bare minimum, use your household hammer and try out stamping. And I love that we're not trying to ever sell you something you don't need, but then the next time someone calls and says, I'm working with some of the bigger stamps, or I'm not really heavy handed, I'm not getting the impression. And as soon as Laura or Claudia says, have you tried the 2-pound hammer? I remember when I tried it, I thought, oh my gosh, this is a world of difference. Yeah,
it makes a big difference. This one's kind of nasty, but it doesn't matter. It still works. So here's the ma and pa here, the 1 pound and the 2 pound. So you can see how much heavier it is. So I'm going to use that same stamp that I used before that was kind of big, and see if I can get it to impress well with just the weight of the 2-pound hammer. And you see I'm not doing a big swing because it's kind of hard because it's so heavy. And that looks pretty good. What do you guys think? This is all scratched up. Let me try again. I notice for me, and you guys may have noticed this too, let me bring it up to show you. I almost always get deeper on the side of the stamp that's closer to me.
Me too.
And that's something you need to remember when you stamp. I think that might be because of the angle you're coming at, but for me, I have to remember to sort of almost tilt the stamp that way. Let's see if that's different. See how much better that was?
Oh yeah, that's a great tip.
Can you see that pretty clear?
That's tip 2.5.
That's 2.5.
Yes.
So this hammer gets the job done. And if you need more, you can go get a 3-pound hammer from Home Depot. They got them, but that's really heavy. Another thing that you'll need this big hammer for is if you have a design stamp that has some solid spaces, like maybe some of the hand ground ones where the stamp leaves a solid impression. That's really hard to impress because you gotta like spread out all that metal. So you usually need like a 2 or 3 pound hammer behind it. Makes sense? All right. Whoop! I like that. I'm always going to make that noise. Are we crooked? There we go.
Will you guys repeat the model numbers for the cactus?
Oh, for the cactus. The cactus was DS568. That one is the large cactus. And all the other succulents and cactuses are in that realm. 568, I think it's 565, 66, 67, 567. Those are all the little cactuses, because it's kind of cute if you have a large one and a little one, and then you have like an older sibling or little sibling, or your name and your daughter's name is kind of a cute.
And again, great time to stock up. So if you're great time to stock up. If you're just joining us, we're talking about our 3 top tips for using design stamps. I'm Lisa and Mel for Beaducation. Welcome. Tell us where you're from. Give us a thumbs up. If you're enjoying this, share it with your friends. If you're finding it valuable, give us a wow face. Let me see your wow face. That's good. Do that. Do that. Okay, tip number 3 is Well, I'm not going to say it exactly. I'm going to describe it, okay? So you know how you're stamping away and your metal's getting really hard, and the harder the metal gets, the harder it is to impress your stamp. So you may be starting with a metal that is already hard, like sometimes brass, or you've worked hard in it so much that now it's really hard and you can't get a good impression. We go over that in our book, New Stamped Metal Jewelry, that's coming out soon, because we do so much mandala stamping that by the time you're adding the last stuff, the metal is so hard that we need to anneal it. That was good. We didn't rehearse that. I love it. So annealing is the process of softening the metal, and there's some chemistry behind it that has to do with when the metal gets really hard, the crystals inside sort of break up and get tighter, and as you heat it up, the crystals loosen up a little bit and it becomes more malleable. So why would you want to do that? Or what metal do you want to do it? You can do it on brass, on sterling, on nickel and copper. You don't want to do it on aluminum or pewter. They're soft enough. You don't need to mess with those. It does involve a torch, and we're going to show it to you right now, but safety first, right? So we're going to bust on the hot glasses. Yeah, baby. You're going to stay over here, so you don't need them, although you've got those on. And I'm going to tie my hair back.
I love annealing so much. I don't even really have a prescription. I just wear glasses and cut all my hair off just so I'd be ready to anneal all the time.
Is that right?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
But I do love it.
Before I go over there and show you though, we're going to be using a torch, a quench cup, and tweezers and a charcoal block. And the reason I'm going to anneal on a charcoal block is because it sort of absorbs the heat and then pushes heat up from the bottom. So it sort of helps in the process so you're not just heating up the top. Okay? Excuse me.
Can we anneal on a kiln brick as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that works well too. But you always want to make sure you have a metal sheet, which you'll see when we go down in a sec, to protect your work table. Let's do it. Okay. And then after this, we got to remember tip 3.5 on the thickness. I'm just saying that out loud so I don't forget. Okay, check it out. So here we've got our charcoal block. We sell these on the site. Search for charcoal block. My cross-locking tweezers to grab it. Oh yeah, thanks. And my quench cup with water in it. And you want to make sure that's metal or glass so that when you put something hot in it, it doesn't melt it. And then we have the Fat Daddy torch. I don't think that's its real name. I'm pretty sure it's not. It's the Max Flame. The reason I like this for annealing is it has a very bushy flame, so it gets the job done pretty quick. Okay. Now I'm going to anneal some brass, and brass is pretty hard. So watch if I'm trying to bend it with those sound effects, and if I tried to stamp it, I'd probably get a really light impression. I think I had one that I stamped on here.
And it can get frustrating.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. Oops. Oh well. I tried to stamp on one earlier and it was a really light impression, but let's just go ahead and talk about annealing it. So sometimes if you wanted to stamp this great the first time, you might want to anneal it first, right? So again, I've got my safety goggles on, I've got my hair tied back, I've got a non-combustible surface on my table, and I'm wearing natural fiber clothing. Okay, I'm going to strike the torch, and I'm going to slowly heat the whole piece. And what I'm looking for, and you probably can't see it on camera, is a nice dull red glow. And I'm going to let that dull red glow hold for a little bit, not too much, because we're annealing, we're not melting, correct? Go ahead and chime in with comments if you've got questions as I do this, and we'll try to see them up on the screen and answer them. Or also let us know, like, do you anneal? Does it help? Is it something you do all the time? So I used to be a little intimidated by annealing. I think you said the same thing.
I was too. I didn't know really what it was.
I don't want to bust out that and then clean it in the pickle, which you can and should do, but I have another solution for that. So let's get to it. All right, I'm going to strike the torch and lock it. Okay. Now you see that tip of that blue cone there? That's going to be the hottest part, so I'm going to keep it right around there. Can't get the camera too close, but I'm slowly going around and you're going to see the metal change color. You can also spritz this with flux before you do it, and it helps protect the metal so it's less cleaning. And now it's getting a little darker, and you can't really see maybe from where you are, but it's a nice dull orange.
It does look like that a little bit.
I'm going to pull the flame back a little bit so I don't melt it, but just give it a little bit more. And that's good. I turned it off by unlocking the little lock there. Now this is super hot. We don't want to pick it up.
I have done that before. I've picked it up.
Oh my God.
In my excitement.
This is hot as well. So I slide it to the side so I can grab it. And then
Quench it.
quench. Now it's totally fine to handle. So you can test it by stamping it, or look, I can totally bend it. See how so that's like really soft now. So if I went to go ahead and stamp in this, it would take the impression really well. Connie, I see your tip here about the Sharpie, and yeah, that's a great one. So if you were to first take a Sharpie and draw on this a little bit, when you heat with the metal, the Sharpie will slowly kind of disappear, and that is another little gauge on when the metal is annealed. I usually hold it a little bit longer than the Sharpie has disappeared, and that's another one. So, all right, so now it's dirty, right? You can throw it in a pickle, or let's not touch that. You can use Penny Bright. And this polishes up metal. What we've got here on is a bunch of copper oxides that have come to the surface. It's not necessarily fire scale or fire stain. That you kind of need a more strong pickle for, but this is pretty light because I didn't torch it for too much. And I just get a bunch here, and
will that work for sterling as well?
Yeah, it works great on sterling. It's made for copper. It says on the package not to use it for sterling, but we've spoken to the manufacturer and it's actually fine. I don't know why they say that on there, but look how easy. If you don't want to bust out a pickle pot. And we're bringing
Tara, I have to say, because Tara had said she's kind of a little scared of torches. I felt the same way. I did.
You can do it.
And I thought, I don't want to use anything with like a flame, and that seems like it's going to be so much work. But if you're using brass or nickel or copper, or no, copper is actually pretty soft, but brass or nickel, and I really love the color of brass. I was shocked when you would anneal it, how much more of a pleasure it was to stamp on it.
Oh, yeah. And we can actually
help you set up safely at home, right?
That's right. We have the safety video, and that shows you how to set up at home. Exactly. Laura's correct.
And we have a whole annealing video as well. So what we can do, hey Claudia, will you throw me the bench block back over here? And let's see what it looks like to stamp on a piece of brass that hasn't been annealed. Here, we'll just scoot this out of the way. And then a piece that has. So here's my annealed piece. You can tell because it's all crazy messed up from bending it. But again, like this one, I can't at all. Let's have a stamp, any stamp, maybe a bigger stamp. Perfect, thanks. And we've got the best helpers here on set. All right, so let's go back to this guy, the tree. Let's go and try to stamp on this piece that wasn't annealed. I'll give it 2. That's a perfect example of how hard this metal is. Mm-hmm. I hit it twice with the thick, or the 2-pound hammer. Oh, my hands are dirty. That's good. It means I'm working, right? Mm-hmm. You want clean hands if you're an artist. Now, I could have tried the tilt and tap method with this, but let's just see now. This is a little out of shape. That's okay. Normally, what I would do here is hit it with a plastic mallet, but I think it's going to be all right because it's so soft. Actually, can I have the Impress Art hammer? Thank you. This is Taryn's method. She just uses the back of the Impress Art hammer. Now, you don't want to do that too much because, right, I'm hardening it just by doing it, but I want it to be flat. And I'll do 2 whacks here like I did. That's a lot better. Again, I'm a tilter towards myself.
But you could tell it is a deeper impression.
Yeah. Let's do it on the other side. And I forgot to consciously go away from myself. There we go.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
So annealing. Any questions about annealing? Yeah. Angeliki says it is scary at first, but then it's addicting. Agreed.
And the annealing product video is great too.
Yeah, we have a product video. We've got classes on annealing. We've got classes on torches and how to use them safely. Safety first. Okay, those were 3 tips.
Well, there's a 3.5.
3.5. Okay, this is actually just answering a question. Laura reminded us that we get a lot from customers, and they think every now and then that stamping on a thicker metal is more difficult than stamping on a thinner metal. It's not necessarily true. Sometimes a thinner metal, like that was 24 gauge, the brass that I just tried to stamp on, and because it's so hard and because it's so thin, there's not enough material for the stamp to sink in. Do it with me now. Sink in to the metal. If I was on brass 18 gauge, there's more material for the stamp to impress into. So sometimes thicker is better, especially on stamps that have like a solid piece, like we have that solid, the 4 dots.
Oh yes.
That has a lot of surface area, so that when you press it in, there's no like little lines. It's just, you're gonna have a lot more success stamping into, say, like an 18 gauge copper if you have a stamp with some solid area.
It's more
And
cushion for
using-
the pushing.
More cushion for the pushing, that's true. And using a heavier hammer is gonna get it done too. So don't think that, oh, I can't go up to 18 gauge because it's gonna be harder. It
not.
might actually be easier. It's the thinner metals that sometimes are hard, but again, that has to do with the softness and hardness of the metal. So there's a couple variables to consider.
I like
make
this neck
sense?
too because you're not going to see as much of the impression on the other side.
Right.
And you're not going to have as much of the bending. Although you showed how you can eliminate that, but it's still nice not to have to.
Yeah, and we just last week, Aisha was here and we shot a video on stamping on both sides. You know, when you stamp on one side, you always get a little scuff on the other side, no matter how thick it is. She shows how to buff that out so that you can cleanly stamp on both sides. We're going to be editing and posting that soon. That's a great customer service question. Did we answer it well, do you think, Laura?
Spot on.
Got it? Nailed it! Do you want to hold this up, Laura?
Do,
Let's see, I can do it. Oh, look at that. Boom.
Impress Art Stamp Guides, where you have 70 stickers, where you can do mandala stamping, make sure that you're stamping your letters straight, words straight. 70 stickers for $5.
Now we really sound like it. But don't buy it.
I do, yeah.
It's awesome. Okay, so
But it is
let me
kinda
come
cool.
around and I'll show these here. Some of these to the camera. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, that is hard to do. You're right. Look at my fingernail. So we've got a center divider. We've got, oh, this is my favorite.
I do like that.
You can line up your letters.
And you can stick those right on your blank.
Yeah, and these are brand new. Like our Impress Art just put them out. We just got them, and they have this sort of situation
So you stamp right on top
for
of them?
all kinds of different sizes. Yeah, you put it right on your blank, and you can stamp right on top of it. A lot of them are just paper stickers, so you want to make sure you really cleanly wash them out. If when you stamp on them, the paper breaks into the impression, you want to wash that out, because then if you go and put like Sharpie or something over it, and then the paper comes out later, your black and the impression's going to come out.
That makes sense.
Makes sense. So there's a lot of really fun things that you can do with this booklet. And again, like $5? $5. I think we went over all of our talking points. 3 tips for design, for working with design stamps. 1, tilt and tap method. If that's not working. 2, use a 2-pound hammer. If that's not working, do the tilt and tap with the 2-pound hammer. And 3 is annealing. But I just thought of something I wanted to show. I just discovered this the other day when I'm stamping. I'm going to come down and show something. I know, this is a last minute thing. And I was talking about this with Aisha, which is arm fatigue. So when you're stamping away, especially with this big one, I'm going to use this one though. When I'm stamping, especially with words, oftentimes you stamp, you hold your hammer like this, you grab another stamp, and this is very painful on your hand. So what I started doing is putting the hammer down. I know that sounds silly, but then picking it up and doing that, or I hold it on its head. Come over, stamp, put it on its head. But next time you're stamping, you guys, try this. You'll be like, why haven't I been doing that? Because just holding it like this is a lot of strain on your wrist. So stamp, rest it down. Don't drop it. You know, you don't have to take your hand off, but it takes all the pressure off. Stamp, put it down. It's a weird trick, but it's really going to save your wrists. And let me tell you, I blew my wrists out about 7 years ago doing stamp production work, and I had to go to hand therapy for 6 weeks, which wasn't fun or cheap.
I think
So-
that action of putting it down counts as another step on your Fitbit too. If you
Oh,
are
I
hitting
think
it,
so.
then you
I
put it
think
down.
so.
Then you hit it and you put it down. I mean, you could get 30 more steps.
She's gonna work it. Okay, that's all we have for you guys. Leave us a comment, let us know your favorite stamp, and we will see you again next Thursday.
That's right.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.